Hello, hello, hello. Thank God for another day. We give God all the glory and the praise, the honor that is due to his name. Thank you for joining in tonight. It is a special, special live event we are doing tonight with myself, Pastor Reginald Carter, and the one and only Lady Carter, as I would say, the lady, but elect Lady Carter. So I thank you all for joining in with us. We normally do our Bible study on Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, but due to some, I would say, blessed events we have been through, we decided to do a open discussion to kind of touch on some things that we have experienced and to share our personal story that will possibly bless you. We're coming from looking at that. It comes with the territory. That's the topic we were actually looking at. It comes with the territory. And for many of us as in ministry, those of us that carry titles, we know that it is not an easy task. But beyond carrying titles, there are those of us that are believers and we are trusting God for things. We're believing in God for things, and we know that we also have a purpose. We go through some things, but what we want to discuss tonight is just, first of all, to recognize, and I thank God for Lady Carter. Anything you want to say for us greeting everyone right now?
Just greetings. Blessings.
All right. So I want you to think about this before we go and dive into all of this. I want you to think about this, and you help me along with this. Everything that we say is the devil isn't necessarily the devil. Would you agree?
I agree with that.
All right. So in every setback that we may face, it may not necessarily be being used by the enemy. It could actually be something that's giving God the glory. And that's something that we were discussing this morning on at how certain things that we go through, we look at it as it's a curse or as it is the devil at work, but there are actually certain things that are actually drawing us closer to God because of his plan. And you had wanted to mention something about that, am I right?
Yeah, we quick to say that the devil is busy, but we never give God credit for what he's doing. And a lot of times things are happening because I'm a true believer in Romans 8:28. All things gonna work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. So we truly believe that we're called according to his purpose, no matter what it is, it's gonna work for the good, that God may get the glory in everything. And so I'm just excited about today because it comes with the territory. Being in ministry, and like you say, once you give your hand to the pastor and your heart to the Lord, you're going to deal with some things. You're going to go through some things. We ain't going to say it's going to be easy, but I tell you, your living won't be in vain.
Something you had touched on earlier, you was talking about the distractions and the attraction. So kind of touch on that to kind of help them understand that portion. For us, everything is not for distractions. The difference between
the distraction, because a distraction, a lot of times we look at a distraction as to deter you away from things, to take you away or to take you off of course. And a lot of times, even though it's a distraction, it's not necessary to take you off course with God. It's actually to keep you safe from something as well. I can remember when we was on our way to Colorado and we had a plan that we're going to leave at 3:00 in the morning. We're going to leave at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. So when Pastor woke up, it was like 4:40 something. He said, "Can I sleep another hour?" I said, "Oh yeah, go ahead and get another hour." But then he jumped up. He said, "No, let's go ahead and get it together." And what I'm trying to tell you, by the time we got it together and we got further up between Willis and Huntsville, the traffic was at a standstill, and we had a detour. So what I was saying, even though that was a distraction, us getting together, getting our individuals ready to get on the road, it was a whole lot of things prolonging the situation. But when we got up to this accident, it was a real bad accident. A car caught on fire, somebody lost their life. What if we'd have left at that time? But we always say, oh, the devil busy. We running behind. Oh, and we can even blame it on what we was doing and things that was transpired, distracting us from letting us get on the road on time. But how we know that that was our time to get on the road, even though we said that was our time? It wasn't so much that it was a distraction. It was, and then not only that, things do distract us from our purpose. And then we look at things that can be an attraction to get on purpose, to follow with God. And the reason, there are times people are attracted to us and we don't understand why people are attracted to us. Like a lot of times people tell me that, you know what, I can just see something in you. And it's the God in you, the attraction in you. A lot of times that's part of the purpose, is because we're supposed to let our light shine, that people can see us, that they're attracted to the God in us. Not so much this physical person, not so much Felicia, but the God in us, that everything can work out, that God may get the glory.
And when you mentioned that, we were discussing earlier, we were sharing, is that when we facing difficulties, we have to decide if this is going to be a distraction to pull us from our purpose, or these hardships are going to actually be an attraction to pull us to our purpose. And that's what we had touched on a little bit to share with you all, because everything we go through that may seem bad, it may not necessarily be a distraction. It'll be a disruption. It will be something that will cause us to question God. It would be something that may bring a little uneasiness to us. But those things can be an attraction versus a distraction. It's pulling us close to our purpose. Like one story of Joseph. We all know the story of Joseph. Joseph sold in slavery by his brothers. We know that. Then dealt with Potiphar's wife, put in prison, was lied on. And we know what it's like when people done lied on you, people mistreat you, people don't like you, they do things against you. So those two particular things alone will most likely cause, it would, if it's been some of us, and we can just send me a comment.
Oh, the devil's busy.
Yeah, the devil busy. You know, we're quick to say, oh, the devil busy, or we're quick to get upset about things when they seem to coming up against us. But Joseph had went from being in slavery to being in prison, and due to the slavery, he ended up being in prison. And well, he from slavery to Potiphar's house. Let me get that right. From slavery to Potiphar's house. Lied on, and from Potiphar's house to prison. He went to jail. But he met the cupbearer in prison. He met the cupbearer while he was in jail. And talking with the cupbearer caused him to be placed in a position to where he can meet Pharaoh. So by him meeting Pharaoh and able to tell Pharaoh of his dream and describe the dream, then he became second in command. So that's a good story, how that distraction, what he was dealing with, the hardships, what he was dealing with, could have been a distraction. But in the midst of all Joseph was dealing with, he still remained in prayer. There's nowhere where we read where Joseph turned his back on God, even though, and I know for some of us, witnessing some of that type of hardship, or that degree of betrayal.
What we quick to say, excuse me, but what we quick to say, oh, don't trust your family. Your family can be your worst enemy.
I wasn't trying to touch that, but let's put it out there since you put it out there.
That's what Joseph, it was his family, you know. And we don't even realize a lot of times our family can actually be pushing us towards our purpose.
Amen.
But we look, don't trust your family, they're your worst enemy. When actually they can be actually pushing us towards our purpose, and we don't even realize it, because we look at, now we got to stop to deal with what they're putting us through, when actually it may not be a distraction. It's actually the pushing attraction to leave us. Yes. So thank you, family. Like Paul and Silas in prison.
Go ahead.
You know, when they was put in prison, look what they was doing. They was praying. They was praying to the point that even the jailers, they got saved in their family. What we do, we don't do that. We go to complaining. So we got to realize, whatever condition, whatever situation we are in, and we just stay prayed up, and we just continue to pray. And that's why you just keep glorifying God. Because I often tell my husband this, and I was sharing with him today, I'm where I'm at in the ministry, not even in the ministry, even in Christ, because of the trials and tribulation that I saw him go through, and the endurance that I saw him go through. I'm just going to be honest with you. If I hadn't seen him go through it, we quick to witness, but I'm a true witness of how God dealt with him and put him in a situation that even in the midst of it, he still glorified God and he still praised God and all that he was going through. And I was like, man, if he can go through all of that and still want to serve God, that's the type of person I want to be with. Not that he's my husband, just because of, you can mount a pulpit to a people they're pretty much throwing stones at you. And when you can mount a pulpit knowing the stones are going to be thrown, woo, man, that's
let me chime in on it. My reason for staying consistent and persistent with that is because I have come to the understanding that it has to be a purpose for this. I'm being obedient. I pray this is blessing somebody here. I had came to the understanding that all that I was going through, it had to be a purpose because I was walking in obedience. I was doing what God was calling me to do. And it took some spiritual growth for me to understand that just because I'm righteous, just because I'm loving God, it doesn't mean it exempts me from trials. It exempts me from hardships. Matter of fact, the more we walk in our purpose, the more trials we will go through. But it's not always the fact that it's trials for the worst things. It's trials to encourage us. Just this past week, I had the phone call I made, talked with someone from a previous church that I pastored, and I shared with her that I thank her for the conversations we had. She stayed on me. And we didn't have the best relationship in the beginning. I can be honest with you. We did not have the best relationship in the beginning. But over time, those things that she was honest with me about, those things that those conversations, those hard and tough conversations, even the challenges, it groomed me to be a better pastor. It groomed me to see where I was falling short. Because without those hard conversations, that criticism I was receiving from her, if I would have took it as though she's at first I'm being honest, at first I'm like, she's just the devil. She just don't want me to succeed, but she took her time and she like, well, Pastor, I'm telling you this because I love you. And that's one of the hardest statements to hear. I'm telling you this, or I'm doing this to you because I love you. But I shared with her that I thank her for all those things that she did, like the challenging conversations, those hard comments she would make. But she helped me see a lot of areas where I could improve in ministry and could improve as a pastor. And so I thanked her. I literally made a personal phone call to check on her for Thanksgiving, and we was talking, and I thanked her, and she just started crying. It's like, well, Pastor, I always loved you, and I always want the best for you. So I'm praying this helping somebody, is that our hardships and our challenges that we go through, it should attract us or push us to purpose. We talked, she just mentioned about Paul and Silas being in prison, that could have pulled them back. But you had somebody else you wanted to talk about too as well, that you mentioned about it.
The woman at the well.
The woman at the well. Yeah.
And the reason I want to talk about the woman at the well, because when she went to do what went to get the water, she didn't go she went at an opportune time that nobody was there. That's what happened to us a lot of times, even in ministry. We go places that we don't want to be seen. We go places that we feel like that we're not welcome. And so we'll go at a certain time because I don't want to see this person. I don't want to see that person. But we don't even realize the blessing in seeing somebody, because we can run into matter of fact, I got a phone call today, and I got a message, and they asked me to give them a call. I ain't know this person. My husband said, you know them? No, I don't know them. But I called her. I called a lady, and she's like, well, can I call you back? I'm in the doctor's office. I said, yeah. So when she called me back, my husband told me at first, but she wants some money. That's what he said. But the blessed thing about it, she did. She really did. I don't know this lady, never seen her. But
she had been following us on Facebook.
She had been following us on Facebook. But what the blessed part about it, and what really made me, I said, well, I got to talk to my husband about it. It was $65. That's all she asked for, was $65. She's going through a hard time, and she asked for $65. And where I'm saying this here, it's not always the devil. It's not always the devil reaching out to you. It's not always a snake reaching out to you. You never know. And she said she just saw me. She saw my picture, and because she's not my friend, she just followed us through the church, and she said she just seen my picture. And I told my husband, she said, yeah, that old sucker gonna help me, because I'm quick to help people. But it wasn't that. What I'm saying is, don't look at everything as a distraction, as the work of the enemy that the devil is trying to do to you. The devil is playing tricks with your mind, because the woman at the well, even when she met Jesus, she could have thought that the devil was playing tricks with her mind. Even when she went back to tell the people, they could have thought that the devil was playing tricks with her mind, because it was who you gonna come? Oh, woman, I know your track, I know your history. You gonna come tell me about some Jesus? Don't y'all know people say that about us? Felicia, I know your past. I know where you came. How you gonna tell me? I know what you done. That's the same way with this woman. But when you believe and know who you are, you're gonna stand still in what God has delivered you from, and you're gonna stand still on that foundation. I know who I am too, but I know what I was, but I know who I am now. And this woman, with this encounter with Jesus, she went back and she saved people. And that's what we have to do.
She found her purpose.
Yeah, her purpose was to what? go and save people. We got to know our purpose and the interaction we have with people. Stop looking at everything as the devil. What is the purpose in me having this interaction? What is the purpose for this distraction? Stop looking at the devil is so busy. No, is this part of the territory that being a Christian and in my walk and in my faith and in my walk with God? What is it? Mm-hmm. And I had shared some with my husband. He said, I hope you use this again. I told him, I said, I've learned this here. Stop going so much with your gut instinct. Your gut instinct is not always right. Because we quick to say, well, whatever your gut instinct tell you, that's true. That's your down gut instinct. And I said, but I had to learn something. My gut instinct wasn't always right. Because I would say, oh yeah, he cheating. She cheating. I can feel it. Are they doing this? Are they doing that? Oh, they stole it. They did. That's my gut instinct. But when you really get to talk to somebody and you really get to question somebody, your gut instincts wasn't wrong.
Let me touch on that. Let me touch on that. And I love the way she said it, because that's opportunity for growth. And I want to share this with you all. That's an opportunity for growth. Because when she said, and she was actually having a conversation with someone, and she mentioned that she had learned not to go with her gut instinct. And to hear that was powerful for me and very uplifting for me, is because that's what we was always taught. And I follow her lead on a lot of things. She feels some type of way, I'm gonna follow her lead. Now, to say it was always been right, no. No, it hasn't always been right, but it's right majority of the time. But it enlightened me on something. A lot of times we're not necessarily following our gut instinct. Mm-hmm. We're following our trauma. Mm-hmm. We are tapping back into our trauma. There are certain things we are experiencing or witnessing, and it's triggering our trauma. So we begin to feel that trauma again, and we begin to respond to it based on our trauma versus our gut instinct. So you have to be careful with that, which is why we're sharing this with you all tonight. And we had a very, 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 very special encounter last night. An event happened last night, which brought all of this.
It comes with the territory.
It comes with the territory. So I'm gonna start it off, and you kind of fill in. So those of you that don't know what we do, we have our own business where we take care of adult individuals with intellectual disabilities. We hands-on with them. We provide housing, shelter, and care for them. So housing and shelter, the same thing, but okay. But we provide housing and care for them, and we try to give them a good quality of life. In spite of their mental capacity and some of their mobility disabilities, the best way to put it. So we had one of our individuals, actually it was two individuals, we had some concerns about. One ended up hurting himself, took a little fall and had a scrape. So we had to get that individual checked. And in the meantime, the other individual was complaining about his arm, rather, the arm that he was dealing with. So we were watching and monitoring our individual, and noticed that things just wasn't right. So we do what we normally do. We take them to the hospital. Let's get checked to make sure everything was all right. We did our part, take them to the hospital. But man, the things we went through.
We got to the hospital at 2:30.
Go ahead.
We got to the hospital at 2:30. We got home at about 11 o'clock. But and the hospital's up the street.
But fill me in on what went on.
Well, what went on is you have to share more, because you was to the back with.
Okay, well, because you went with with one individual, I went individual. She was with individual one, I went individual two. So individual two had to get X-rays on the arm. So the X-ray technician came out and was questioning me, which we like I say, it comes with the territory. When you're in this type of business, when you're caring for someone, and those of you that are in healthcare, you know what it's like. You're dealing with children, you know what it's like. You're dealing with geriatrics, you know what it's like. Anything that happens, you're going to get questioned, because the first thing they want to make sure is there is no abuse that's going on. So here it is. I'm used to the questions. I know it comes to the territory. How did this happen? To be honest, we didn't know, which is why we was very proactive. We noticed something wasn't right. We was very proactive to make sure everything was okay. Found out there was an issue with the arm. So the technician asked me, list of questions. Had this happened before? Nope, never happened before. There's a history of this. As far as we know, there's no history of this. So they kind of lagged around for the longest. They kept holding us back instead of pushing forward to kind of let us know exactly what was going on. So after we was pretty much finished with the care, I was told, since I was with our individual in the back, I was told just to hang around. We have a forensic nurse that want to ask you some questions. Forensic nurse, I know what they're going to do, ask a bunch of questions. You know, it comes with the territory again. You know, so we're familiar with it. So there was no sweat, there was no nervousness or nothing, because we know what we was taking care of our individual like we should. And what happened is that not only did they call APS, but they also called the police. So yes,
we used to APS being
but not the
called.
police. So we later found out they was delaying us because they wanted the police to show up at the hospital where we were. So here it is. We talked to the forensic nurse. She interviews us, and after the fact, she apologized. The nurse apologized because what it was, they went with a notion, and an assumption based on what they saw, and they automatically began to assume rather than having a conversation with us to get the understanding of the individual we care for, the behaviors we deal with, and how we do our very best to protect this individual. So what they did, instead of coming to us to have a conversation, they were just asking different questions to get information versus having a conversation. And that's when things really turned around. And we would normally say, what? This ain't nobody but the devil. That's what we were like. This is nobody but the devil. But I thank God for Lady Carter, because she was like, you know what? She was so calm, so cool. And those of you that know her, you know, she could be a little firecracker, but she was so calm and so cool. And that's one thing we kept, encouraging each other's way. Hey, and I was like, are you all right? She said, I'm good. And she said, well, it's come with the territory. I said, I agree with you. It comes with the territory. We go every time we're going to go to the hospital, get one of our individuals checked. They're going to do, and that's what they're supposed to do. You know, they was mandatory reporter, so we okay with that. But this where the blessing came in. We make it home. There's a knock at the door. Police officer at our door. We haven't made it home a good 10 minutes. Police officer is at the door, and he just made his way in. I'm like. I started to say something, but he had that 9mm on his hip. But but I was like, what couple? We talked a little bit. I let him on in, wasn't trying to be give him no attention or anything. So take over from there.
Well, he went upstairs with me to talk to the individual that the police was called about. So he sit there. He was talking to me about the individual. He was asking the individual questions about, was he abused? Did he feel safe? About that. And he was like, he was safe and all of that. So while he's talking to the individual, he started crying. The police officer started crying. Then he backed away. He said, okay, I don't know why I was called. He said, I really don't understand. And they didn't give me an explanation. They say the individual was nonverbal, which he wasn't. He talked to him the whole time. So he's like, let me just go. I'm just going to tell him there's no abuse, nothing going on here. I said, okay. So me and him walked downstairs. So we was just downstairs talking, and he asked me, how many children do I have? And I told him that I have 11 children. He said, 11 children? I was like, yeah. He said, so you have 11 children, and how many you have upstairs? He's talking about the individuals that we take care of. I said, 3. I said, but we only have 1 is a minor. I said, the other one is a grown, range from 36 on down. He said, but 11 kids. I said, yeah. I said, with 3 biological. And I always tell people my husband has 8, but all by the same woman. So, but I was sharing with that, and he just started crying. And he said, well,
wait, hold on. Now, who is this again?
That's the police officer. Now, it went from the individual, it went to the police officer.
Crying in our house.
In our house. And he crying. And he said, well, ma'am, he said, I really feel the love here. He said, I just really feel the love here. And he said, so I know that being taken care of. He said, because just the atmosphere I feel here, and then I'm feeling you. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I'm trying to have a baby. Me and my wife trying. He started telling me his story about him and his wife trying to have a baby. Like they're trying to adopt, and that they actually came across a 4-year-old, but it's so much money. He just started crying and sharing his story. And he said, it's all this I'm going through is bringing me closer to God. I just need somebody, a godly person to have an encounter with. This is him telling me this. And he said, I just need somebody godly to have an encounter with us. And I started smiling. I said, well, you say you feel the presence, right? He said, yeah. I said, well, that's the presence of the Lord. I said, my husband is a pastor and I'm a minister. He said, I tell you what, I got to go make this report in my car. Can y'all pray for me? Like, wow. So I went upstairs and I was like, baby, this man want us to pray for him. So come downstairs. You take over.
Yeah, so we get down, and I was upstairs taking care of our individuals while they would, because he finished up the interview and everything, what he had to do. So when we came in contact with each other, we started talking again. He was sharing with me, he believed in God. He's a new convert. He truly believed in God. He had been dealing with struggles. Him and his wife, they want a baby and everything. And he just asked, can you just pray for me? Can you just pray for me? So we prayed. We prayed for him. And then he had something that symbolizes his family and also for his job. He wanted us to pray over this necklace and this medal that he had. So we prayed over that and all. And this man is in tears. He went from coming, knocking on our doors. He was probably about 5'5".
He might have been a little bit taller than me. I'm 5'2", so I give him
So,
5'4".
but walking with his chest out, everything on, kind of like trying to make a statement because of his position and everything. After when he left here, he was almost like he was just in the hands of God. That's the best way I can put it. And he thanked us, and he kept telling us, I can just feel God all over you guys. I can just feel the presence of God all over you guys. And the reason why we wanted to share that with you is because from the time we went to the hospital at 2:30, 3 o'clock, and we made it back home right about 11, close to 11. During that time frame, we was going through a lot of unnecessary stuff that we didn't have to go through. We was held there longer than we should have been held there. We was already accused of abuse. We was already accused of neglect. They was even to the point trying to treat us as though we was bad people. But at the tail end of the hospital visit, the forensic nurse,
she was talking to me, and she apologized to me because I didn't know all that she had done because she was in with Pastor first. She was in with him because I was in the car with the other individual. But some of the questions he didn't know, that's when I had to come in. And after she was talking to me, and then she started talking to the individual, she started apologizing. Then the individual started crying, thinking he was going to take her from us. And she's like, no, that's going to happen. So I didn't know she had called the police and stuff. And that's when she went ahead and apologized to me, because she said if she'd have spoke to us, really spoke to us, not going by, what was said, if she'd have spoke to us, she would have known something different, but it was too late. She had already called the police, and she had already called APS. I said, no, it's okay. And she's like, you sure? I said, yeah, you're just doing your job. You're a mandatory reporter. Y'all, I can't lie. Usually in the past, when APS was called, I act a fool, but I don't, because like I say, this comes with the territory. When we've been doing this here for almost 15 years. So we know we've had APS called on us before, but let them come do their job. You ain't doing nothing wrong, move on. So, but they're apologizing to us before they even come, and she couldn't cancel. And I was like, it's okay. We'll go through this here. And she's like, you sure? They just kept thanking us for handling it the way we were handling it. We wasn't angry, we wasn't upset. They was trying to tell us what other people usually do. But you act a fool. I had to learn, even though I was never guilty, but I was acting fool as if I was guilty. So if you know you didn't do anything wrong, you just stay calm. But not only that, if you know who God is and you walking in your purpose, and this is your purpose, because this is our purpose, is to take care of these individuals, and we know that. And if you're doing what you're supposed to do, why get angry? Trust the process. And that's why we want to share this here. It comes with the territory, because if we'd have never took the individual, first of all, we supposed to take the individual to the doctor earlier, because it could have been a whole different crew, but we end up going to another appointment, so we taking them late. So I'm looking at everything, to me, was a part of, from a distraction, yes, to attraction. It was all a part of God's plans, because it was so many distractions that we ended up at the ER later than we were supposed to. But we end up meeting some people that call the police on us, that the police end up being blessed leaving our house.
The police needed us in spite of all that went on. The whole reason for everything that happened is that the police can have an encounter with us, that we can pray. We was the representation of God's glory, the representation of God's anointing. But if we had not allowed ourselves to walk in purpose, we would have messed up what God was trying to do. And so basically, we just want to encourage you. Every hardship, every distraction, every disturbance is not always the enemy. It could be literally God orchestrating things to bring you into your purpose, to bring you into the bigger plan that he has for you. And that's what we literally saw it. I mean, just right before our eyes last night. And it blessed us because we were just so at peace with it. Literally, we was at peace with everything we was going through. We was tired. We were hungry, but we remained at peace. And even the devil tried to get in my head a little bit like, oh, I know they didn't call the police, and then we about to go through all of this. We're going to have to deal with an arrogant cop. We're going to have to deal with an arrogant APS worker. I'm going to have to keep my cool, because I got to make sure, the people don't want to hear about Pastor acting a fool. Lady Carter can. Pastor can't act a fool. No, let me stop. But I just hope this blessing you all, because at that moment, if I would allow the enemy to continue to entertain me, I could have messed up what God was planning, because I was hungry. I was tired. I was ready to go. But I just stayed calm. And I said, well, Lord, this comes with the territory. So, Lord, help me stay at peace with it, that we can get through what we got to go through. My wife came back. Lady Carter came back and said, hey, this comes with the territory. We're going to be okay, David. She said, we're going to be okay.
And another thing, the cop said that he was supposed to just call us.
Correct. Yes. Check this out.
Call us. but he didn't want to call us. He said, so he came to the house, because first he was supposed to meet us at the hospital where we was at. But he said they didn't make it plain where we was. They just said standing some, so he didn't know where we was. Then he was supposed to just call us. But both of my phones died because we was at the hospital for so long that he couldn't call us. But he said he never called. He just wanted to come. So when he came, he said he was glad that he came and that he entered our presence, even our individual. And it was so funny because my individual, he has his arm is like in a sling now. And I was like, now, what are we going to do? I'm talking to him on the way out the ER. And I said, what are we going to do? And he said, what you mean? I said, your right arm in a sling, my right arm finna be in the sling. Who going to take care of us now? And he's like, well, at least God is watching us. Everybody in that waiting room just bust out laughing. He said, at least God is watching us. God is going to help us. So you never know. But that just let you know, too, that he sees the God in us and he trusts the same God that we serve.
And that's going back to encourage those of you that are listening and those that will listen later on. We want to encourage you that just go through what you're going through with patience. Go through what you're going through with trust in God. Be like Joseph was. He remained steadfast. He remained consistent. And we were saying just remain who you are in God. Don't allow your hardships to change. I don't care what people do to you. I don't care what people say about you. I don't care how people treat you. I don't care about the gossip that's out there about you. Remain who you are in God. You got to be consistent because you are the anointed vessel. You're the one walking with a purpose. You're the one walking with a calling. You're the one that God has a plan for. So remain consistent in who you are. Don't change. And I know it when you deal with certain people in certain situations, we want to raise up and we just want to let them have it.
But for what?
But for what? And it's like that's actually what the enemy is trying to make us do. So it's God using the situation, but the enemy is trying to distract us when God is actually using the situation to attract us.
Yeah.
Amen. I pray you all get that. The enemy tried to make these things look as if that's God. That's like the enemy trying to make it like it's the devil at work, but it's actually God at work. All these things orchestrated and lined up so we could be a blessing to this man. And the Lord showed us while I was praying for him, the Lord showed us that they will conceive a child. And so we began to talk with him, and I told him, I said, well, no, you got to work on you. And he was like, what you mean? I told him, I said, it's you. And literally he came back and confirmed it. The doctor said that most of it was him. There were certain things, issues he was having, but it all came from stress. So I gave him a regimen of prayer, meditation, spending time with his wife. And when he can handle that stress part, they would be able to conceive and bring forth a child. But for those of us that are listening, those of you that listen tonight, we want to just help you to understand that every hardship isn't the devil. Every trial and tribulation isn't the devil.
Every distraction.
There are literally some things that God is using that he may get the glory, but you have to be consistent. Amen. You agree?
And we're learning this too, because we've been through some challenging things since 2021. And going through what we've been through, we always say, oh, the devil, we was even giving the devil so much praise. I can truly say that the devil doing this, the devil is busy. It was to the point it was even affecting our marriage. But this here, what happened last night even brought us strong to let us know it's not the devil. It's a part of the plan, it's a part of the purpose. Everything that you're going through, it's Romans 8:28. It's all going to work together. Everything, the good, the bad, the indifferent. I have learned now the bigger the storm, the bigger the blessing. Amen. No matter what you're going through, I say, okay, Lord, what you got for me now? Because if I can handle that storm, I know this rainbow is about to shine even brighter. I get excited when I'm going through. I used to didn't do that because I always worried and I always stressed. And I always tried to be a people pleaser. I always worried about what people thought or said about me. I'm always in a fight mode. And I even had to learn, and even some people confirmed this time, I always felt like I had to fight for my husband. I don't have to fight for him. I know that this is a true anointed vessel of God. Why do I have to fight for something that I know that God resides in him? Well, that mean I ain't believing God and who he say he is. And I have to literally put my weapons down and stop. And you know what? Trust God. Whatever this man is going through, God is going to be with him. No matter what he goes through, no matter what comes against him, all I have to do is stand there. What it say? Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. And that's why I'm to the point that now this year has caused me to stand still and to see the salvation of the Lord and know that God is a God that would never ever fail. And what it say, his word shall not return void. And it has not. God has blessed us over and beyond. And everything that we have went through or going through, we are rejoicing in it, because we know what? Greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world. And I'm telling you, he is a great and mighty God.
Amen. And for every situation we went through, God has caused us to receive an elevation.
Yes.
For every situation, there has been an elevation. What some things we just recently went through, we had to sit back, because at first, and some of you know the things that we had just recently faced within the past 30 days or so, and we was like, Lord, I can't believe you let the devil do this. And the Lord said, no, the devil didn't win this. This is me. Look what I put in your hands. Look what I put in your hands. So I'm talking to New Horizons family right now. Look what God put in my hands. And it's not something that I came with. It's something that God brought me into a position and a situation, and God used that situation to literally allow us to birth the ministry with wonderful people that we love and that love us, and we are so excited. And that's why we want to share this excitement with you, that it comes with the territory. Yeah. And you got to tell yourself that it comes with the territory.
And guess what? We're going to run on
and see what the end's going to be.
Because I'm telling you, God got something greater, and I'm just excited about it. I'm crazy enough to believe it, that it's bigger than we can ever imagine. Because I'm telling you, me and my husband will tell you, November has always been our month. And it was so funny, because what the thing we went to was like at the 1st of November. And I was like, no, November has always been positive for us. And guess what? It is still positive for us.
Amen.
God has always did a turnaround for us in November. And I'm telling you, we are so excited about what God is doing in our life, mentally, physically, and spiritually. The joy of the Lord is our strength. Amen. I'm telling you. Amen. And it's the people too that God places in your life to build you up, to lift you up. You never know who's looking at you. So that's why you got to be consistent. You got to be. Because I'm telling y'all, I was a cursing sailor. Ooh, Jesus. And I ain't never been in the Navy. But on my mouth, but I had to, for what? I cannot speak blessings and cursing. You can't. You got to serve God wholehearted, consistently. Don't worry about things. Don't worry about people. Stop feeling you have to fight. And I was always, because when you come up in life, that's when my husband say, your gut instinct, that's trauma. Because I was like, yeah, I can see that. You know why I can see it? Because I've been through it. So basically, I'm seeing me in whatever I see in that situation, so I can call it out when it really ain't. That's just my trauma. It ain't Amen. That. It's just my trauma. But you got to let that stuff go.
Yeah, let us walk in purpose.
Yeah,
that's at the end. Let us walk in purpose. All that we go through comes with the territory, because God has the plan for us. And I want you to just send us the comments how you feel about what we have said. If this has been a blessing to you, let us know. And if you feel we should do this again, I've been trying to get this young lady to do this with me for a while, and she's like, no. But out of all things, we had this conversation, and she finally agreed to do it. And she said, let's make this happen. So I'm so grateful for you, dear, for doing this. This has been a blessing, and I can tell already that it's going to be a blessing to those that are listening. I see the comments that are coming in. We thank you all for joining in, but just tell yourself, every hardship isn't always the devil. It could be something that has attracted me to my purpose, because it comes with the territory. Amen. Just type it in. It comes with the territory. Right. So as we get ready to leave, 6 a.m. Central Standard Time for our Thursday morning manna. Thank you, dear, for joining me tonight. It's something different, but I believe it's been a blessing, and we pray it blessed you all. Let us know how you feel about what we discussed, and if you need prayer, let us know that you need prayer. Send us that memo or comment, and we will reach out to you to make sure that we pray with you. We all done. I'm Pastor Reginald Carter.
I'm elect Lady Felicia Carter. And as Bishop Paul Epps and Martin say, what? You pray for me, and I'll pray for you, and we'll watch God change things. So we're signing off for now from the New Horizon Church. God bless you. God be with you is our prayer. Goodbye for now. How do you feel about it?